Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Griff.
I'm Bucket.
So up, guys? How's it going? It's nice seeing everybody every week again.
Social interaction.
Right?
We're all not stuck in our houses, not seeing anyone.
Well, I mean, I'm still in my
But
house.
we're still stuck in our house.
I mean,
we get to
I'm
see
not
people now.
See, but I'm kind of antisocial, so I'm not stuck in my house. I'm willingly in my home. I'd be home a lot more often if I had the option. Like, ugh. That's both a COVID choice and a life choice. What games is everybody playing this week? No, nobody.
I've been shooting a lot of dinosaurs.
Yeah, how
give me a
is that
second, I gotta
game?
try to
Is
think about
is it good? Your
Second
shooting?
extension
that's what
is
it's
the
called.
game that we're talking about, and I really like it. It is, it's fast paced. Like your character itself is very fast paced, very Doom like in how quick the movements are. But then you have the horde mode version, basically for if you think of Left 4 Dead, where the dinosaurs are coming at you. And they've got basically sections of you've got a map and you have missions you can do in the map, and they show you where your different quests are going to be for those particular missions, so you can choose which mission you take. And like, I'm soloing it right now because I didn't have anybody to play with, so I was choosing the easier areas, which are still not easy by any means. But I was going into those areas and I was like, okay, but I had to do basically, there was one easier area. So it was like the whole time I'm doing basically one mission. And then what I did is I expanded out, because there's side missions you can do on the inside by, there's a drone that flies around, you hit the drone, and then when you get the information from the drone, then it gives you other areas on the map. And so then what I did is just kind of gradually made my way through. So a mission that might have taken 20-30 minutes to do before now takes like an hour and a half, because you're doing all the side stuff. And what that does is give you more research stuff, so you can start upgrading your guns and all that, so you can get into the harder areas later. And then I went to log in today and the map changed.
Oh.
So the map difficulties rotate in each one of those areas, I guess, weekly. So it gives more replayability. So you're not playing the same 6 missions and have the same difficulty. So now I basically have another mission I can play without having to worry about dying solo wise. That has a lot more to it. So it's interesting. Like, the whole concept's very interesting. I wish it had a campaign. Versus just giving you information on why you're there and all that, so it would have been fun just as a regular campaign, but I'm enjoying it the way it's done. And it does have matchmaking. I hate playing with randos. Yeah, I hate playing with randos.
Yeah, I feel that.
So I played that, and then Warzone has a new mode that is basically it's the zombies for Halloween that they've brought in, but it's in Warzone. And the concept is this: you die, instead of going to Gulag, which you did before, you now become a zombie, and you come back in as a zombie, and then you can pick up 2 vials from people that have died. They're purple vials, and then you shoot yourself in the vial, and then you respawn. And the last people with living people as part of their team ends up winning the entire war zone. But everything shrinks the way it normally does, moves exactly the way it normally does, and as a zombie you can actually survive the gas too. So that comes in handy to grab vials, because you can grab them in there and not have to worry about getting shot, because you get killed pretty easy as a zombie. But you do have a gas grenade, an EMP, and then you can jump really far, distance wise and height wise, and so that allows you to be able to get away or get towards somebody quickly if you're trying to kill them. But the end, think of the end of like one of the Left 4 Dead episodes, where you're sitting up on the tower and you're waiting for the helicopter to come down, and you've got the hordes of zombies coming. That's what the end of the game looks like. You're either a zombie or you're a human, depending on where you're at. And the humans are all trying to shoot each other. They're trying to shoot zombies, and the zombies are trying to kill everybody.
Nice.
So
Do
it's just
you
like
get to come back again if you're a zombie, or when you die as a zombie, you're just gone?
you die as a zombie, you're dead, but you can be bought back just like you can with regular Warzone.
Okay. Damn, I was hoping that it'd be like a constant. You die as a zombie, you get 10 seconds of respawn time, drop back in, go again.
No,
Oh,
it's not
God,
quite
the
like that, but it is.
chaos.
But since it's a trio that they've made it, you're constantly coming back, and it doesn't matter if all three of you are zombies, which is what I was afraid of. Is once all three of us died as humans, that we would just all die, but that's not how it works. So, but there's a ton of zombies at the end. It's so fun. But on top of doing that, they've also added it to where you can go to certain areas, and they have Halloween trinkets and stuff that you can buy, or not buy, but that you can pick up by opening up the boxes, which they're encouraging to do the boxes. And in all versions of Warzone, they've also made it to where there are jump scares in some of the boxes.
Oh, yeah, I saw that video.
Yeah. So you open up the box, and basically your entire screen changes to some creepy shit up on the screen, and it's loud as fuck. It is so loud.
I would say the volume of it is 90% of that jump scare.
Yeah, well, but that's what it's got to be, right? Because you're going from silent da 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 da, and then just, woof, and so it's completely unexpected, and it scared the shit out of me when it happened. It only happened once. I played 6 games, and it happened on the very first one, and it was about 3 games in when one of the other guys that was on my team, he wanted it to happen to him because he was like, I don't understand what you're saying. It happens, da 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 da. And then it happened to him, and I was dying because all I heard from him was, "Oh no! Oh my god!" And I was like, "You okay?" And he was like, "I understand what you mean now that it was loud." And I was like, "It's very loud, man. It's so loud." Played that. Played a little bit of Sea of Thieves Friday night, and that was fun. Like, just getting back on the seas was very entertaining. And then yesterday I played a little bit of World War Z, which is very Left 4 Dead. Like, very
It's on
Left
Game
4
Pass,
Dead.
by the way, Griffin Baka.
Yeah.
That's something else we could play.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
one?
it is free on Game Pass, and I
War
believe
Z.
based on what I'm looking at too, it's crossplay too. So those people that are wanting to play with, maybe they have an Xbox and don't have a PC, and everybody, like all of us play on PC, but like I play on Xbox on this just because it was already downloaded because I owned it on that before it was ever on Game Pass. But so I played a little bit of it, and but that was about it. I think that's what I did for the week.
I finally finished up this run of Final Fantasy, which I still have 7 more recipes that I have to go and get the fish for. I think it's 7, might be 5. That I have to go and get this stuff for, because I'm gonna get all of the recipes. There's 114 of them for Ignis, and I've come this far, man. Might as well. But I finished the campaign again, and let me tell you, even knowing how that game is going to end, it does not make you feel less bad when it happens. It's just, that game does such a good job of the feels trip. I mean,
It's a Final Fantasy game. What do you expect? That game is literally designed to beat the shit out of your emotions.
it doesn't
It's like,
start
oh, you
that
like
way, though.
emotions?
You're like, look at my Chocobros. They're on a freaking vacation road trip here. It's fun, and there's some stuff happening, but we're gonna fix it and take care of it. There's a point that you get on that, like, Final Fantasy train once it takes you out of the open world, and they're like, here, now it's time for us to murder you. You remember that good time you had, like, 17 hours ago, or in my case, 100-something hours ago? It's over. No, that's over. It's time for you to start crying. Get the tissues.
I just thought of something that would end up being well, Griff won't find it funny.
Oh.
If out
Not to
of
make me
all
angry,
these
aren't you?
recipes, out of all these recipes you're collecting, if you can never find one, and it turns out you missed it at the very beginning,
Oh,
and
no.
that was the only
That's
time
not
you
the
could get it.
problem. I've already done my research. I know where all of the recipes are. Like, I know.
She has a list of
Yeah,
all
I've had a
114
running
and where to
list.
get them.
Yeah, and I've been checking them off as I go and everything. And there's 2 that I should be able to load up the game and go get now. Because you have to pass a certain checkpoint to be able for them to spawn.
New game plus plus.
Well, no, it's just you have to be past chapter 10, and then you have to time travel. But the rest of them that I need are fishing based. And I hate fishing. In real life and in games, it is boring. It is so boring. I hate it so much. And I made Chicken do one of them. And it took 13 real-time minutes for him to fish up this stupid fish, but it was huge. So, you know, at least it was giant. But
It was unbelievable. I don't know if you guys have fished in that game, but imagine doing that for 13 minutes straight.
That's a no.
I mean,
Because that
basically, the
game-
way
fucking-
that fishing works is like
'Cause
once
if
you
I-
cast your line, you have to watch which direction the fish is going, and it'll put little pointers on there. And you can't reel if there's tension on your line, or else it'll eat through the durability of your line until the line snaps. So you have to just wait until it's done freaking out, and then you can reel a little bit, and then it'll freak out the other way, and then you can reel a little bit. And it's just so boring.
So basically, it's set up the same way Sea of Thieves is. The difference is the amount of time it takes to reel in.
Yes.
Yes. Like it.
Like
Oh,
normal
my
fish,
God.
it's
But
fine.
isn't there
It's no
one too? If
problem.
it jumps up in the air or something, you hit a button
Yes.
in order to be able to.
Yeah, it has that
Yeah.
too. But I'm on to the fish that are really, really difficult to get, and they only spawn, like one of the ones that I need only spawns in this one place. It has to be in the morning, and it has to be raining. And you have to rent a chocobo to get to the place that it is, because you have to, like, you as a person cannot swim, but your chocobos can swim. So you have to rent a chocobo, swim to this island, wait till it's morning, and hope that it's raining. And have the right lure for your reel. Oh my god! I just want this fish. It's driving me nuts.
So it's like
want
it's like an Animal Crossing where you have like all these different conditions in order to be able to get it.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god!
I'm so
Of
frustrated.
course, they have one
about
fish.
it.
They have a fish like that in Sea of Thieves too. We were talking about it. The shadow stormfish. You have to, it has to be under a shadow of one of the islands that have one of the overhangs. It's got to be in the shadow of that, and then it has to be while it's storming.
Ooh.
And you know that storm just kind of slowly moves around everywhere. So you have to do it that way, and then it has to be at night too. I think it's like a combination of three things. It has to be.
I'm gonna get those recipes. I did when I finished up the game this time, because this is a new game plus. I am sitting at like 152 hours of playtime total. So that's like both campaigns pushed together. I think I started, my first campaign had like 41 hours in it, and so all of this 110 extra hours has been in this playthrough because I'm looking for stupid recipes.
Yeah, you're
It's
almost,
a fun world to lose in.
Getting,
I mean, it's a good game to like just kind of lose yourself in anyway. Like the world
look
itself.
at this completionist now. She's getting 100%
I
in
don't
Final
do
Fantasy
it.
15.
But that's the thing is, like, I'm not 100%ing everything. I did go and find all of the.
You got all the armigers. You're looking for all the recipes.
I did all the
You're
armatures
pretty much
because I
finding
was
all
missing
this.
like 3, so I just went and got them.
This
Yeah,
is
that's how it starts.
That's right. That's how it starts.
It's like, oh, I just need 3 more armatures. Oh, just 7 more recipes. Oh, just a few more spells. Oh, wow, I already finished the whole game entirely backwards. Okay, cool.
I do love that.
I couldn't give this game to Dr. Booth because she's like she plays those Lego games, and you wouldn't think there would be like completionist parts of that, but there are, because you get all these different Lego characters that you can create that you get based on whatever world that the game's based on.
Mm-hmm.
She'll go through and make sure she unlocks every single one of the characters. That she's picked up all of the bricks because there's red bricks and gold bricks and all this stuff, and she tries to pick all those up. And like I'm like, I couldn't play with you. There's no way I could play.
Well, here's
like,
the deal, though. Is
like-
it's a cheap thing. You give her you gift her Final Fantasy, and then she spends the next 3 years playing it. You don't have to buy another game.
Fair enough.
So I mean, for budget reasons, that's pretty sweet. Come on now. Although I imagine there'd be a couple of times where she'd be like, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Because some of those bosses are time consuming. So I did that. I played. Oak, you had gifted me House Flipper a year ago. I don't even remember when, but I'd never
years
It was
ago,
a while
I think.
ago.
I'd never actually gotten the chance to sit down and play with it, and I loaded it up today. That is a weird game. And you think that it's
Very
like
strange.
weird as in eventually you're gonna find out some really shady things are going on and everything, and your character's like a murderer or something. But I don't know if that's the case because I realized there's actual HGTV DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
It's literally
weird.
flipping houses. But the beginning part of it's weird to me because it's like, okay, first you start with your little shack.
Yeah, you
having
live
to
in
clean
a
it up.
dirty shack that you don't know how to
And-
clean. The first one, like when you first loaded, you don't know how to sweep. And I'm like, you expect me to install products and remodel and I can't sweep my own house? What?
Well, and then you have to take your first call and have to go do whatever it is. But that's like the first 3 or 4 missions you're on are to basically teach you how to play the game.
Yes.
This is how you learn to paint. Didn't know how to paint when I got the shack.
I didn't know how to paint.
And started
It
a
says
flipping
you need
base.
to refill your paint roller, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. You don't tell me.
Right. So you'll go through and learn how to do it. Like it's an interesting game for sure.
Well, I did that. And then me and Baka and Chicken and my sister, we usually play together on Friday nights and Thursday night, or Friday nights and Saturday nights. And Friday night, things were not working. We wanted to play Grounded, but it was not letting Baka stay in game. It kicked Cat out at one point, and like we couldn't all be in the game at the same time. So we're like, okay, well we're playing
It's
this
early
on
access.
Yeah, it's early access. And it's like we're playing this on Game Pass. What else is on Game Pass that we can get quickly? Because my sister's download speed's not the greatest. But we decided to play Astroneer, and Baka couldn't play that one for some reason. Like I can't remember what the deal was.
I could get in, but it was lagging so bad that I couldn't do anything.
But he
Like,
ended up dropping out, and then we played it, and my Cat killed Chicken, and I wasn't even around, just listening to the audio, because I killed myself on something that I didn't realize was dangerous. And I was like, I'm not going all the way back out there. I didn't know how anything worked, because Chicken's like, just skip the tutorial. Don't skip the tutorial, okay?
Skip the tutorial.
Go ahead.
Don't be a wimp.
Tell him how you died.
It wasn't my okay. First of all, we were okay. So that game allows like full 3D exploration. You can go in any direction you want, up, down. Well, okay, maybe not as up, but down. Destroy any type of the environment as you wish. So we were just tunneling through this mountain, and also as you go, you have to tether yourself so that you have oxygen all the way out. So Griffin
Luckily,
just
I
make a
had
bunch of these little
accidentally
tethers.
already made like 150 tethers because I was pushing a button and I didn't know how to stop. But I didn't know how to
So
place them
I-
either.
Stop hitting the
So I
button
would
or
just-
stop doing what it was doing.
Stop! I didn't know how to change
Hey,
what I was
like
doing.
the tethers. So I just put them on my character, and then I would run, and then drop one, run, and drop one, run, and drop one. And we've just got this huge line of tethers to give us oxygen, and we would just put them down as we go. And we were way down in the mountain, and I mean way down.
Yeah, I was
in the
already dead by
mountain.
then.
Yeah, she died.
I
She
tried to
blew herself
vacuum up a shiny thing. It's a dangerous shiny
Blew
thing.
herself
Don't
up.
vacuum though. It didn't say don't do it.
So we get down there, and I fall off the little ledge, and I slip off down the little ledge and then slide down, and I'm like, okay. So the best way to do it is you just kind of vacuum your way up a wall and just kind of create like a spiral staircase. So I was working my way back up, and she is up there up
Cat,
above,
my
and I was
sister,
like,
not me.
okay, yeah, Cat is up there at the top, and I was like, okay, she can see where I'm going, because you get to see the little outline, like the little HUD icon over their heads as you watch them, and I was like, cool, and I'm going up, and I'm trenching my way up the hill, and she's like, oh, go right. And I was like, oh, okay. She must see where I'm at and know that I'm right behind the wall. So I turn right, and I just vacuum the wall and walk right through, and it's a ledge. Like, it's straight fucking cliffside. I go right through the wall and straight down, and I die. I was like, you motherfucker! Boom, and I splattered.
And then she's like, I've been left. Because the runs of the family, directionally challenged. If we say right, we probably mean left. If you tell us to go left, we're probably going to go right. You should have looked, Chicken. You should have looked.
There was no time to look. I literally, like, as soon as the wall fell out, it was just open to a cliff, and it just went straight off. There was no time to just look. There was no
So what happens when
looking.
you die? Can you come back? Like,
Yeah, you spawn back at your main base, and I had to follow the tethers all
So that
the
you
way
can get your
back,
backpack.
all the way underground, and pick up my backpack.
Do you have to redo the tethers, or are they already there?
No,
So you're
they
good.
stay.
No, they're permanent fixtures.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Basically, like on one of those little toddler backpack leashes stuck to these tethers. I
So,
mean, you
like-
can run away
like-
from them, but your oxygen starts to deplete, so you have to run back to them to get.
Yeah, that's why you're tethered to them. Oops, that's gonna be loud right there.
That's alright.
I slapped the mic. That's why you need the tethers, is because you're on a different planet and you have your O2 suit on, and while you're next to your base, you're good. But as soon as you break that tether, you start using your suit's oxygen. But if you make tethers from the base connected to an oxygenator, it will supply oxygen all the way down that line. So as long as you follow that line, you can explore the planet.
Is that only your line, or does everybody like?
No,
so like,
everybody
if you
can
made a
everybody
line
can
all the way.
use it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when I
you
died,
could
I'm like, I'm
create-
not going all the way back over to where they were at. So I just went on my own direction and found something cool and made my own line so they could come and see it when they got back.
Yeah, so we can follow her line all the way over to the other side of the planet.
Well, it's pretty cool.
So,
I do
it's
want,
actually a pretty neat game.
I do want that to work
I
at
know
some
it got a
point
lot of
for
good reviews.
Baka. And Baka, speaking of people dying in games like this, we did get to play Grounded last night, and Baka likes to play with spiders. Baka also likes to run off and leave people. I was like, we're gonna go to this one area because there's a dangerous, thing around it. Baka's like, okay. I'm like, let me. Nugget was crying. I was like, let me feed Nugget real quick. That's gonna take just a few minutes. I get done feeding Nugget, and I'm like, did he leave? Baka's already out where we were gonna go together by himself. I'm like, all right,
Losing
bitch.
daylight.
It's not
And
like he
died,
couldn't sleep. Yeah, and then he died. It's like, well, I wonder what happened
No,
there.
no, I did not die in going to the gas area.
Mm.
I almost died.
You
but
died
I
later
did
in
not
the.
die.
You died again
The
when you
spider
had
area.
run off from us and found the spiders. Because you found a bunch of baby
you two-
spiders.
You two fell. Me
I
and
fell.
Kat were both in
Chicken
me,
jump.
me and Kat were both in the building that we all ziplined to, and then you fell. Chicken went down there with you. Me and Kat were just messing around in that room. I went up into the hallway and started getting the spider webs, and it knocked it off the door. The door opened, and a bunch of little spiders and a bigger one came out. And by then, Kat had already jumped down to be with y'all, and I
That
didn't
was an
realize
Orb
it.
Weaver Jr. God, you couldn't handle that.
It actually said Junior
Yeah.
on it. Or Weaver Jr.
Try with a bunch of spiderlings hitting you at the same time.
Yeah.
No, I'll pass on that part. I will say, now that I've got my full Walmart armor and the Ant Club, I can take out spiders solo. Just beat the shit out of them motherfuckers. Run away, bandage, get the perfect block, and just start beating them again.
When that was happening, like right before Baka died, when I fell, I thought I was going to die because we were basically in a bush, and I fell to the ground, and there was just like 5 spiders right there. I'm like, this is how it ends. This is how I die. Like trying to run.
I jumped
running
out.
from the
I jumped
stupid
out and tried to
spiders.
be hero. She ran away, and I'm fighting
I
a
was
spider
scared.
anyway.
I didn't know you jumped down. And then I jumped, like when I was running, I ran off of a ledge and dropped down. And then I had to figure out how to get back up to where Chicken was at. You had to go like halfway down the yard and come back up. I'm like, dear Jesus. Really? And in the meantime, Baka's like, well, I'm dead.
Oh, Dad.
And this is why we have bridges everywhere. It's a lot easier to find where you're going.
It's been fun.
Yes, it
I
has.
Maybe
still
we
think it's
haven't
dumb
gotten
though.
to
Like
that point yet.
if you go to get a feather and you beat the crap out of the feather doesn't become a smaller feather to look at. It becomes a bag.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the second hatchet. We have the second hammer, but not the second hatchet yet. We're still looking for that. So we can't get the feathers yet.
Ah,
We have 2 crow feathers right next to the house, too.
Yeah. Well, and we know where there are a bunch more. They're underneath
Yeah.
the little bird feeder thing or whatever that thing is. So we
now
just
you have to. I think for the second one you have to. I don't know. I don't think you pick up one to analyze. I think you pick that you kill something that you can make a second one out of.
Well,
if I
that's what it
remember
was with the hammer. So I wouldn't be surprised that it is because it was a bug that Baka killed and analyzed apart to make the hammer, the second hammer. So
It was but I think it came from the wolf spider.
maybe. Maybe we just
Yeah,
need
I
to
think
kill
it-
every
that's what the
variety of
parts.
spider until we get the right
Well,
thing.
the only two that I've seen, we have to kill bombardier bugs. Is the only kind of bug that we haven't
Oh,
killed
maybe
yet.
that's
what it is.
Ladybugs.
Oh.
Oh yeah, the ladybugs. The ladybugs
I
give.
don't want to hurt the ladybugs.
Yeah, you need
Rhea,
to
have
give.
you
You need to hurt the
seen-
ladybugs.
Have you seen those little shits going after the aphids? What do the aphids do? They're just cute little scurry things, and then as soon as the ladybug sees one, she's
they're
like,
our dinner.
and just like slams into whatever.
I
I've seen
will
her
tell
go
you
into
this.
spider nests.
You go after a ladybug, be prepared for the ladybug. Because I think I've never seen a spider and a ladybug fight, but I can almost say the ladybug would take a spider.
Yeah, I have no doubt. Ladybugs are big.
We did
Yeah.
stink bugs last night, and those things, there's never just one. And if there is one, it's gonna get friends before you actually get into the fight. But we had like 4 of them that we were trying to like pick off one, and
Good God.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
to be fair, we are expert MMO players, so we totally understand the concept of pulling one out of the crowd, DPSing it down, and then grabbing another one and DPSing
And my
it down.
sister didn't have a ranged weapon, but she didn't want to commit to running in. So I was like, you can throw rocks at it, I guess. She's like, you can do that? I was like, yes, just get the rocks and equip the rocks and throw it. And she's back there just chucking rocks at the things the whole time.
That's funny.
Like, when we were first starting to hit it, I was like, was that a rock? And then you just see another one, tink. I was like, is someone throwing? And then you just see her throw rocks. It's like, oh. Yeah. Do you want us to go get you a bow so that you can shoot it?
So like, no, I'm good.
I mean,
Oh.
at this point, if she wants to stay ranged,
Yeah, might as well just make her one of the spider bows.
Oh, it was funny.
It won't. It doesn't take much if you've got that. If you've got that, the little ant club or whatever. It doesn't take much to knock one of those out. The stink bugs.
I like that we
The-
have
the
found
The
a lot of...
bombardiers, though, I will tell you this: the bombardiers, when you get to those, make sure you have bows. Make sure, because you're gonna have to, basically, one person's kiting it, and then everybody else is pommeling it, and then that person has to get out of the way for to go heal themselves or whatever it's gonna take, because it is a bitch to fight. But we've killed quite a few of them, but they're so hard to fight.
Well, I like that
because
we
they've got
really
that-
hit our stride of finding games that have no direction that we make our own fun in. Like, that's really nice. Because with originally when we played Ark, all I did the whole time was farm, which was nice because it's what I needed at the time. It was nice, relaxing stress release for me. But now we've gotten like we're this small group of 4 of us running around doing stuff. It's really fun that we can make our own fun in that kind of sandbox. I think I just didn't understand it well enough when I first started playing sandbox games.
It's very, that game is very Minecraft like.
but we also
except
learned
there's
it suffers
slight
from
plot
the same bug Ark did early on, but
Oh, yeah.
where sometimes your character gets deleted, so all of our stuff, all of our stuff went away when we logged in.
Well, it was just me and Baka.
And
Cat and Chicken had their stuff, but we didn't.
I thought hers. Yeah, Chicken was the host, so his shit was fine. So yeah, now we have storage boxes. So when we logged out of the game, we put everything in the box.
I guess that's just a
Yes.
general, like, possible bug for that type of game. If you-
It just seems to be the common theme. Like, if you just log out, your character will sometimes just log back in naked.
Well, that's partly why in Astroneer, I just took all
See,
of
we've
the
not had
stuff
that
off my
problem with
backpack
Grounded.
and left it
Lucky.
at your base.
We've not had that
I've
problem
only
with
had
Grounded.
that-
The only problem we've had was, for some reason, everyone else is part of the group, because I'm the one that hosts. Everyone else is part of the group. Sometimes when we're building like the bridges and building all that stuff, they can't see it, and they'll just fall off.
We had an issue where Chicken had stacked all of the grass stems that he was going to need for another expansion on the second story. And then when we would load in, occasionally they'd fall down through some of them would fall down through the ceiling into the first floor and then into the floor. So they just disappear until now there's none up there. So
Right.
Yeah, we built stem pallets now.
yeah,
So we
my
got,
sister's so excited about that because she's the one that's been trying to organize that kind of stuff. I didn't know she was trying to organize it, and so I'd been chopping down grass just to get the grass fibers that are underneath and throwing the the stem's like just down the hall. Well, down the hall. It's down like a pathway. So there's just a bunch of. I said something about that's what I'd been doing finally, and she's like, "That's you? I've been trying to clean that up. I was wondering who keeps doing it." It's like, oh no, I'm in trouble now. Well, Chicken Vodka, what else do you guys play?
We played some Among Us.
Yeah, which we're going to talk about this week.
No, I mean,
There's
that's a
a
good
couple
segue to the news, so
articles.
go ahead and talk about your own stuff.
Oh,
Well,
well,
yeah,
I mean, there's really
um,
not much to talk about, in my opinion. They're just...
Well, I
so-
did Bloodstained. I downloaded that on Game Pass, which Chicken might like it. It's like Castlevania-esque, but it can be kind of a challenge. So,
Hey, there's
which
ain't
I
nothing
know
wrong
he
with a
likes
challenge.
challenges.
Yeah.
I also downloaded the Carrion, which you
Ooh,
just play
do you
as
like
this.
that?
I beat it actually earlier.
Damn, it must be
Oh,
really
wow.
short.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's-
take long to beat it.
Yeah, no, it's not a long
Stop
game.
petting the cat,
It's
Chicken.
kind of like it's it's like a puzzle style type game, but with a little bit of action into it.
It's free on Game Pass too.
Yeah, yep. That's why I downloaded it. But you basically play as this weird blob creature thing, but with tentacles and mouths, kill and eat people, and figure your way around into the underground facility and try to get out eventually. And you eventually grow in size, and you get new power sets, and
It's a really neat
It's
game.
kind
I've
of an-
seen people play it before. It's a pretty neat concept.
yeah, it's just a neat game to play around and go through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you want to talk about the Among Us news since that's what you guys mentioned? Or did you have something,
No.
Chicken?
No,
Okay,
I was
alright,
trying to
cool.
think about what I've played. It's been WoW. I played WoW all week, and then Among Us a little bit.
I'm
Oh,
grounded.
but Baldur's Gate 3, I started playing that because Larian Studios, and
It's
Since we
really,
did-
really good.
it is.
See, that's the same face he had last night when I was talking to him about it too. Like you could hear his face when he was talking about it. Yes, because you could tell the way he talks. As soon as he brought it up, I was like, "Oh man, this game must be really fucking good." And like I said, from what I've seen
it's-
of it, it looks so good.
I mean, there's some bugs that I've ran into here and there. Like I was fighting harpies, and for whatever reason, if someone in my party died, when it would still the game would still recognize it as them being alive, so it would still go to their turn, but I couldn't do anything.
I gotcha. Okay.
So
Well,
like
make sure you
I
report
couldn't
that because it
skip.
is early access.
Yeah, I couldn't skip. I couldn't do any abilities. I couldn't do anything. So I
So
had
you
to,
get
to
soft
restart.
locked.
Yeah, I had to restart. Eventually, I beat it without anyone dying, because I had to restart it so often.
I mean, I guess it's just enforcing perfection on you. Nobody dies, or you soft lock the game.
All right. Yeah. Oak went ahead and preemptively put in the one of the Last of Us. Why do I keep wanting to say The Last of Us? It's Among Us.
Because the
News
word
Among
us
Us.
is there.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. But the game's been hit with a lot of spam. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily hacks. It's just spam, where people are. It's this one specific YouTuber that's trying to get his name everywhere. I guess his channel sells hacks and cheats, and he wants to promote himself by spamming your game.
Yeah. So he breaks into your game and then spams it with this. I'm not gonna read the spam for you, but it's shitty spam.
Yeah, it's
So
just trying to
Basically,
get
it's
traffic
subscribe to his YouTube channel and then his political affiliation.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's the best way to do it.
Yes.
Neither are very good.
And
we'll
my
put it
thing
that
is
way.
this: please stop. Like, stop spamming stupid shit.
They're
on
not.
it. Like
Somebody
nobody.
like that is not going to listen until you can ban their account, which is hopefully what will happen. They're not going to stop. So
They say they are working on it. Innersloth is trying to work on it, which is good. I don't think it'll take them long. They're doing a really good job of updating the game on a pretty quick basis, because I think they're just trying to implement what they were going to do with the second game, that they decided to go ahead and say, nope, we're just going to make this one better. And so I think they know that they're going to have to continue to push out updates that are going to help with shit like this, because the more popular the game gets, the more likely you're going to have these type of issues.
yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could have seen that coming. I was just surprised it took a little bit longer than I had expected it to for that to happen. You know, because with all the other kind of cheating stuff that started to come up with it and whatnot, because it's gained that popularity. I just don't want I don't want stuff like that to ruin this game. You know.
I just
Well, they
realized
have
that
to-
part of his spam was his Discord, and he's not partnered. And so, like, dude, that link does not going to work inside of a chat like that.
Yeah, but you could type it out if you're.
Yeah, I was about to say he's hoping. I guess you're gonna take your time and type it out.
Yeah.
No, we're
Which
too
I-
lazy at this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not.
Nobody's gonna
Watch
alt tab and
your
look up
mind.
that Discord. Especially not with your
No.
crappy spam to start with. Like,
Right?
no, not gonna happen.
I didn't even know who he was, and I was like, maybe I should go take a look. And I was like, no, that's kind of what he wants. Is
Yeah,
the
I mean
people-
it's to inflate his YouTube
Exactly.
views, so just don't bother.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not even worth, like, that's why we're not even saying his name. It's in the article, which you can look at the article. But other than that, I mean, it's just pretty shitty and reeks of desperate.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, you can smell that shit through the computer and it stinks.
Well, I mean, on the flip side, there was another piece of Among Us news that was not terrible. AOC played this week with a bunch of streamers and YouTubers, and it was actually pretty fun to watch. I was raiding at the time, so I didn't get to put full attention on it. But it is really neat to see a politician connecting with people that are potentially part of their base through a video game and a streaming platform.
It's nice to see politicians kind of getting on to the internet in a community-based style, because
Yes.
honestly, a lot of our upper politicians are ancient and probably have no idea how a computer works, short of telling their assistant to send an email. So
No, most of them know
it's
how
nice
Twitter
to-
works, and that's about all they know how to use is Twitter for temper tantrums.
But it's nice to be able to actually see a representative like get down on the ground with the rest of us and play stuff.
It
I
was
mean,
cute
it
'cause,
is
Omar
Yeah.
joined in. Omar Ilhan.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
both of
and
both of those
she's
are going to
really
be at
good, by the
millennial
way.
age, which means that they've grown up with computers, been able to operate those. The other thing about it is too, both of them ran grassroots style campaigns originally, and you've got somebody like AOC who used to be a bartender. Like she's a normal person.
She's as
That's the part that I
homegrown
like,
as you
is
get
seeing
it.
them out. I want to see them as people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the problem is you've got a lot of people that are older, yes, but also one of those things, they've been doing that job for so long, they no longer seem like regular people.
no.
Yeah.
And she's doing a good job of doing something like that. And it was a get out the vote moment, which was awesome. Just because of the fact that, you know, everybody needs to exercise their right to vote,
Yes,
no matter what your
please
political
vote,
party is.
please.
It is your job.
Bach has already
Um,
voted. He's ahead of all of us.
Yes, he has voted. Congratulations.
Yay, good job, Bach.
Good shit.
There were people doing it in town this weekend for here, because we don't have regular early voting, so they were there was a huge line for it because most people are working on that particular day, and can't have that day off. And with the long lines that are already expected, they're going ahead and trying to vote if they can. So I think
Just
it's
glad that
pretty
ours
awesome.
our voting location is relatively rural, and I think I know a few key times that we can go and have not a super long line just because of where we are. So we're gonna try and hit it up when it's school drop-off time for the local schools, because I think that's gonna be our best window of less people.
I got up early in the morning to go.
Did you have to stand in a
Hell
long
yeah.
line?
It wasn't very long. I think by the time I got there, there was about 5 people ahead of me.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
Oh. Yes.
Awesome.
I know we were preachy earlier this year about washing your hands, and still wash your freaking hands, people. Wear your masks and everything, but there's just been a lot of stuff to really focus on this year. Sorry, not sorry.
God, it has been a year, and I can't wait until things fall to a new normal, a new regular. Kind of not as much upheaval in every aspect of our lives, because I'm sure all of us are dealing with some effect from 2020, whether it's the election or COVID or losing your job or trying to figure out a way how you're going to pay your house or all sorts of shit, and then it just feels never ending. So hopefully we'll get to the end and we'll be able to start moving on.
Well, in a bit of lighter news that's not going to be nearly as serious as anything else, Snoop Dogg has an Xbox Series X fridge. Because,
That was
of
given
course,
to him.
Microsoft gave it to him for his birthday.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's
What
crazy
the
to me.
fuck? I could take one for my birthday. Do they feel like
they've already
being
missed your
nice?
birthday. You'll have to be Christmas now.
it's fine. I'll take one for Christmas. It's okay. I'll forgive them for missing my birthday.
The real question
They
is, does it
haven't
play
missed
Skyrim?
mine.
Yeah, they haven't missed Bacchus yet, so
Yeah, then give it to him.
yeah.
Apparently, it was posted, like, he posted it and then took it down. Maybe it's some sort of... Why would there be an embargo on the fridge? Like, if it was the console, like, he had the console, that's one thing, but a fridge,
Well, it's
like...
sitting in front of the green screen, so it makes me believe that he was there at Microsoft getting the fridge, because it already had it had the alcohol on the inside, it had the cake on the inside, it had all that stuff, so it makes me think that they'd got him there. He opened the thing up, and it's sitting in a green screen, so I think there was a photo shoot that was involved with
Oh,
this thing.
hell yeah, there was.
Is what I think it is, and that's why there might be an issue with it, because of the fact that, we'll see the photo shoot later, basically.
Oh, yeah.
That's just
But
hilarious to me.
I am uber jealous, for the record. First of all, that thing comes with a badass looking cake filled with alcohol and orange juice to get all your needs. You get wasted, and you got the water there to recover afterwards too. Like they filled that thing up ready for the before and after party,
and then cake.
and it's a badass looking cake too.
Mm-hmm.
It's shaped like an Xbox One Series X.
Series X.
Everything is a cake these days.
Series X.
Everything.
And it says happy
It's a
birthday to
lie.
the original OG.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, original Xbox OG.
Yeah.
He's been an Xbox fan for a long time. Did he used to be in commercials for it?
Probably.
I think so.
I feel like
a
he
while back ago he was.
did. Yep. So craziness.
What else we got?
Craziness. So we discussed a little bit about the Oculus moving over, probably eventually Quest 3 is what we'll end up with eventually. That'll be Facebook.
Yeah.
And if you look at the advertisements that they're running currently on television, there actually is no Oculus name on it. It just says Quest 2.
Hey.
But unfortunately, this perilous story that has been going on with people somewhat bricking their entire Oculus is getting even worse.
Yeah.
Because now, if you deactivate your Facebook account, you have no access to any of your Oculus stuff. And if you delete the Facebook account, you lose all of your games and everything else you've purchased. So there's that.
It really should never have been linked to any social media. Like, it should have been its own
it
separate
should
account.
not.
There's no reason that you should have to have a social media account to use your Oculus. That's so stupid on their part. I wonder if there's lawsuit possibility.
I think it will be. I think you're going to end up with a mass lawsuit of some sort.
Because, I mean, you're deleting
And
people's
especially when you're
stuff.
dealing with somebody like you're dealing with Facebook, that's multi-billion-dollar company anyway. People are going to sue them. I mean, they're getting sued on a daily basis, but for this is a legit reason to sue them at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, it's almost like holding your account hostage, because you can't. You're like, I want to delete my Facebook. I have moral qualms against it or whatever. Well, now they're like, well, if you do that, it's gonna get rid of every game that you bought for that brand new Oculus that you just bought. So better not deactivate your Facebook account.
And I think they will have a case there, because technically you bought it, right? So you should have ownership of it. And I think that's one of the issues that we have in this era right now.
They're probably going
when you
try
buy
to
something.
spend it.
Yeah, because when you buy something, you should own it. It should be yours. Hence why the right to repair thing is still happening in courts and whatnot. Because if you buy something, you should be able to repair it.
I think one of the big thing on why this is going to end up being a lawsuit is because of the fact this wasn't a problem with the original Oculus systems as they came out, and so now Facebook is saying you have to sign in. Where if they deleted the Facebook account for your first one, you never would have lost any of your stuff because it's a separate account. But now, because it's a connected account, that's what creates the deletion. And I think that's where the problem lies. So, for example, we've talked before about phones and everything else. So, like, iPhone is all made in-house, but it's always been made in-house. So if they're making a decision, you're making a decision as a consumer to do that. Well, they've already made a decision off the first one. Now people are wanting to buy the second one. Now they're fucked. So it's totally that's where I think you get a lawsuit in there, is they've made a decision in their infrastructure for the actual Oculus that is creating this problem. And I think it's going to end up being a major lawsuit, and
I think
it's going to set a precedent.
The only thing that might counter that is the fact that, like, if you delete your Steam account or your Origin account or whatever, you're deleting all of the purchases from that too. You can't download them to your hard drive and play them without your account, because you purchased the license through that account. And that's how they're gonna try to swing it, is, well, it's the same on every other platform, but the difference is those platforms don't have your social media attached to it. Those can be completely anonymous, where nobody, you make a username that has nothing to do with your name, nobody's coming to look for you there. It's one of those things where it's separate from everything else in your life, versus Facebook, where it's like, Facebook is instantly, the second you sign up, going to be like, well, we also know that here's, 45 people that you went to high school with. You want to be friends with them, and they're seeing the same thing about you. So it's no longer a separation. And you can't make fake names on Facebook, can you, Oak Tree?
No, you cannot. Trust the guy that got his name banned for going by his nickname.
Yeah.
And he goes by in real life, by the way. The other thing is, too, with Steam, when you're purchasing stuff from Steam, you're buying from that company to start with. There was never another company before that, before Valve created Steam, that I just moved the stuff over and it would be deleted, where in this case, it's always been the same thing. So even then, it's not a great argument on their part. I think that's why I think it's going to be a lawsuit, because they had one company, they're combining the two, and now it's a problem.
And with Steam, you can go offline. You can never go online again for the rest of eternity and still play your games.
Yeah.
As long as you played once.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you played it once. Like, if you bought it online, you bought it on the Steam store, and then you go offline, you have access to it forever. Like, you could basically, if Steam dies and it goes offline forever, you still have your Steam library.
Yep.
You won't be able to play online games, assuming they're not online, or they're still online, because it's a service that they use. But you'll still have access to your stuff. Whereas Facebook, it's like, you wanna take the high road and get rid of Facebook? Well, fuck you. You lose everything.
Yeah, it feels too much like holding your account hostage. Now that you put a little money into it, you can never leave us. Ever. Yep.
Yeah, and all they want you to stay on Facebook for is so that they can see your trends on how you play games and see what you buy, so they can sell your info and use that to sell you more stuff. That's pretty much all they want to keep you locked in for. See, Steam does that in a good way, because they're like, oh, you look at these games and you like these games and you review these games. How about, would you like us to recommend these games to you? And then, I mean, it's simple like that. I mean, they're just using it in an in-house algorithm to sell you games, whereas Facebook is, I'm going to sell it to anybody so that they can spam you with whatever.
Yes. Well, there's a couple of small things, because I know we're going to want to talk about this Google Stadia thing for a second. There's new pictures of Mark Wahlberg as Sully from Uncharted, which goes in hand with the seeing Tom Holland's picture of young Nate. With the mustache, okay. Without the mustache, because there's apparently pics of them on set together. It's just Mark Wahlberg. Like, I'm pretty upset.
It looks like Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland going to a premiere.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
If you do not have
It's
the mustache, it
because-
is not Sully. Sully has had that mustache forever. Sully was probably
It's just
born
him
with that
casually
mustache.
walking around.
Yeah. Little baby Sully had a mustache and a cigar, probably.
He's like the Tom Selleck of video game characters. It's the mustache is iconic.
Yes.
It's just the way it works.
It really is. Darkest Dungeon 2 is going to be 3D, and it is going to early access next year, which I imagine Chicken is going to like, except for the fact that it's initially coming out on the Epic Game Store, so boo, but it is what it is.
It's boo, but I will give them a lot of credit, because when people started asking about it on Twitter, they were like, it's only for early access. When we do our full 1.0 release, it will be released across all platforms. It is only on Epic Store during the initial design of the game. Once we're done,
Which
it's
to
everywhere.
me sounds like Epic's helping pay for.
Yeah, that's pretty
development
much
of the
all
game.
it sounds like. That's all cool. You do what you got to do to make Darkest Dungeon 2 incredible, because I already know it's going to be. And then when you're done, bring it over to Steam, and I got you. So, because Darkest Dungeon, the original, was real rough. Really rough. And I hope, this is a hope, that the evolution from Darkest Dungeon to Darkest Dungeon 2 is as incredible as it was from Risk of Rain to Risk of Rain 2. Because Risk of
That'd be
Rain was
great.
literally a 2D pixelated side-scroller, and then it turned into what you see now, which is awesome.
Well, I'm glad that you're excited. I'm sorry that you'll have to wait until it comes out for full release. So.
It's fine. As long as I can look forward to it, because they have told me that it is coming to Steam.
Yes. True.
So
Unless Epic strong arms them into keeping it.
Well, if they've said
Ooh.
it's coming and then they backtrack on that, that's gonna look real
Ooh.
bad for them as developers. So let's
yeah,
hope
that
that's
is not
the
something.
case.
That's probably why they did that, so that it's basically them sticking their foot in the door with Epic, going, "I've already said this. Don't you dare try to fucking screw us into being stuck in a contract with
That's
you."
not going to stop Epic from trying to strong arm them into it.
Oh, it's not. If they want to.
And then in other quickie news, Kojima has confirmed that he's working on a game, but refuses to say anything else about it, or hasn't said anything else about it. So
We will see it at the Game Awards. 100%. Quote me now. We will see it at the Game Awards.
well,
You
Would
could,
not surprise me.
you know Jeff Keighley and Hideo Kojima are like buddies. And the moment Hideo was like, "Hey, I'm making a new game," he's like, "All right, we got our headliner for Game Awards. Fuck yeah."
I think it's gonna be spiritual successor to PT. Although I really hope that somebody can help him condense the ideas for that into something coherent. So
Yes, Brother Man is incredibly talented, but Brother Man's got way too big of a head, and there's way too much space in there to get lost.
I like all of these things. Let's put them all in this one game that I'm making. It doesn't make sense. It does.
Yeah, he needs some damn, like, somebody to condense his ideas and whatnot, and stop him from floating away into wherever the hell
Steer
he
him
goes.
in a direction.
Yes. He needs direction, because he is really
I
good.
feel like he's gonna have one where he's like, okay, once this game is played once and beaten once by one person, anybody else that owns this game is gonna have an entire different experience because it's been beat by this other person that's on there, and then it completely changed. Because I mean, he made sure the rocks in the last one were sharper at the beginning than they were after they'd been used for a while. Like, it's such a weird concept that the guy, like, what?
Yeah, he got that big brain.
Like, stop. Like, why is that a thing? which allowed for people to troll, right? So
Yeah.
Right. Well, the last topic that I think we'll probably spend more than a minute on. Google is attempting to distance itself from a Stadia dev's suggestion that basically streamers should be paying for some sort of license to play and stream games online. So, discuss.
Okay, first of all, let's read. Okay, we're gonna read the
tweets?
actual tweet from this guy.
Both
It
of
was
them?
3 days ago. Yes, both of them.
Okay.
Okay, so because this all started with the DMCA that Twitch is like slamming streamers with. I mean, streamers are deleting 8, 9, 10 years of content, removing their alerts and all sorts. Pretty much anything that is not specifically built by them. Anything,
Yeah,
and
like
everything, because they're
GIFs
being
and
very
things like that would pop up at
Yeah,
certain points. Anything that may possibly trigger a takedown, they're trying to go back through and get rid of. So
Yeah, so, and they're not telling them what they're getting struck for either, so they just have to remove everything and hope they don't lose the rights to their channel. So, with all of that known, this guy tweets out, streamers worried about getting their content pulled because they used music they didn't pay for should be more worried by the fact they're streaming games they didn't pay for as well. It's all gone as soon as publishers decide to enforce it. And that was his first tweet. The real truth is streamers should be paying the developers and publishers of the games they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business paying for the content they use.
And this is coming from
Okay,
Alex
now this-
Hutchinson, who is a creative director for Stadia. So
Which I think it was that thing that Google made a while back. I don't know. It was like, yay, and then just kind of faded away.
yeah.
Never heard of it. Okay, so, in my opinion, first of all, it was a bad take in that scenario, but there is some merit to that discussion because streamers most of the time will help game developers. Hell, game developers pay streamers to play their games. But in that same sense, there are games that have suffered because of streamers too, and there's no undoing that. And I understand that streamers make a lot of money off of streaming games and whatnot, but they pay for those games.
No, some
should have the
streamers
rights
make a
to-
lot of money because you are a streamer and make, less than $100. So
Yes, very little.
it's dependent on audience size and what games you're playing and how you're getting that audience in and out and everything. Plus, whether or not you're big enough that you've got sponsors. So it'd be hard to blanket a licensing fee on something like that. Be like, you all need
Well,
to pay
a lot of
licensing
these
fees
games-
if you want to be a streamer, like real business. And it's like, well, how do you do that if somebody's streaming your
it's
game?
it's because you percentage of income during the streaming moments, like 1%. So somebody who makes $100, they get $1, or somebody who makes $100,000 off of your game gets $1,000. Because I mean, there are some streamers that play specific games that make more money than the company itself.
But I would also say that it's strange to look at it like that because a lot of those streamers are talking about like your Ninjas and Shrouds and people like that. A lot of times they're getting those games given to them specifically to stream. So you're already giving them the free product and then wanting, do you waive the license fee because you gave it to them instead of it being a game that they purchased? Or
you don't even have to be that big for that, by the way.
If you
There's several
partner
games that are
with
out
them.
there, like Warframe, which is a massive game. A lot of people on there. Warframe, if you can have 100 people that are watching you, and you end up getting a sponsor from them, and it's just because, first of all, you're cheaper to have on there than you would if you were trying to get Ninja to play it, right? Where Ninja would cost you $1 million if you were trying to get him to play it. Somebody with 100, 200, you might end up making $100 off of that and playing the game that way. I think the main thing to look at is this. What I look at is buying a license like a real business does. And what he means by that is this. If you ever noticed anything that the NFL does, anything that ESPN does, CBS does, any of those, they said, if you're using our footage, you have to have permission from us to do so. And so where CBS, NBC, all of those, basically they don't pay each other licensing. What they do is in our newscast for sports, we're going to show footage from a game you showed and vice versa. So it's an even wash for them. But for an individual, if you were trying to create a YouTube channel or do something like that, you can show screenshots, individual shots, but you can't actually show the video because it came from Fox or NBC or whatever. And so with the gaming itself, the licensing we pay, because I've actually heard the argument, well, we pay for the game. Well, no, we don't. We do pay for the game, but we pay for the game to be played, not. And so because it's just basically the license unlocks the game itself to be able to be paid versus something that is broadcast. Broadcast licensing is different. And is this a discussion that's legitimate? Yes. Is it going to be implemented? No.
Ooh, probably not.
Google's going to separate themselves from it, which they have, because their largest platform is literally based on people playing games, using footage from other stuff, and they're making tons of advertising money off of it. And they're using a massive algorithm that goes along with it. They've had DMCA strikes there as well, massive ones, but it's one of those where you're not going to get away from that. And to be honest, if I've got 100,000 people playing my game and 90,000 of them paid for the game and they're playing it live, what do I care? Let's say I gave away 10,000 copies of it and I just made millions of dollars. I don't really care at that point.
I'd say...
Yeah, but then you fall into a thing where if an indie developer gives a game to a streamer and then they just tear into it and they lose, like, a shitload of sales, which, to be fair, most of the time when I see streamers do sponsored streams, they never rag on them, but there have been a couple of times where the company should have thought twice before giving the game to a streamer.
If you're doing something like that and you're upset because you've lost out on money that you would have otherwise made, it's because the way that you were attempting to sell your product was disingenuous, and when people saw it for what it really was, no, they weren't going to buy it. But I mean, at the same time, how many of us knew before, like, 2 months ago what Among Us was? Because that game's been out for 2 years. But a streamer that's pretty popular picked it up and started streaming it. And it has caught on like friggin' wildfire. And people like us have went out and bought a game that's 2 years old to play it. And it's worth it. I mean, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if you're upset because you've lost money because streamers streamed your game and everybody saw that it was terrible, maybe you should have thought about that before you put the game out.
Well, it's also finding the right streamer for your game, because if the streamer just doesn't like your style of game, but they're big and you're trying to piggyback off of their audience
is not going to buy your game because they don't like that. That's not what they're there to watch.
And I think
that's
this
just poor decision marketing wise.
Yeah, I think this is
fire
also
your marketing
similar
director.
Yeah, shit. To the NVIDIA, the Go Play thing, where game companies were pulling licenses off of that, where you couldn't play it because they didn't pay for it.
Yeah, but it's because they were retailing games.
I thought it was just to have access to them.
No,
on
it's
the NVIDIA.
because NVIDIA was had a subscription service that you paid for, and NVIDIA was making the money, but didn't pay for the licensing to make that money. So they were They were acting as a distributor. Streamers aren't distributors.
No, it's because you were paying for the program, and the program allowed you to stream games from your computer that you bought to that. But because NVIDIA did not pay for the licenses, that they were using them through their platform that people were paying for.
No, they were doing.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember.
No, Griff is right on that. There was a store involved in that too.
Because there was a subscription.
You could literally play
fee.
off of that, and then you could broadcast it that way. Yes, but they were acting as a store as well, because it was like $9.99 a month or something like that for the subscription to be able to. Because I can literally go on to NVIDIA right now and broadcast without ever having a subscription with them. But it was the games that was the issue.
Well, I think part of it too. I think Chicken was partly right. You can stream games that you had already purchased to other devices, but the problem came in they were charging for you to play games that you had already paid for without paying the developer
on their platform. That's where it got really iffy, is because you were paying. It's basically like if you were paying for Steam, and Steam lets you take it wherever, and you could just use the games that you bought elsewhere, and so that you technically weren't.
It got
paying
really
for the
weird.
games
That was
again.
a
I
murky
guess
story.
it got really and that's part of the thing where it was like you're paying for the Nvidia standalone program, and then you could just use the games you already bought, and they were like, no, you got to buy the games from the store. You can't just use the games you bought before. It was really, really dirty water in there, and I think it kind of fell apart, and because they had so many licenses pulled.
Well, with the Google
But for this
thing-
topic, I think it's not gonna work out for this guy at all.
No.
And
Well,
for the most part,
But you're also talking to the guy that is the creative director for Stadia.
which is
which
a
is
platform
a-
that didn't do what it should. It didn't do the numbers it should have.
Yeah, and you're also talking about the fact that Stadia has a connection directly with YouTube because they're both the same company, Google. But the thing about it is you should be able to go on Google, like the whole premise of Stadia. Think about the way they advertise this. I'm going on YouTube, I'm watching a streamer play it live. There's a button that I can hit and be able to play that game live myself, or be able to play the game immediately.
Yeah.
Was the idea behind Stadia. So now you're telling YouTube and Google that Stadia is basically just a separate console when you have this thought process, and these people need to pay money to Stadia or the game developers and publishers themselves in order to be able to make that happen. And it's like, yes, regular businesses work that way, but you're talking about independent creators creating. People are there for the entertainment value,
Yeah, I mean
and
that's
he's missed the boat. He doesn't realize the fact we're not there for the game necessarily. We're there for the person.
that's one of the things that
Yeah.
I think is an interesting way to look at it. And one of the early points that I made to Chicken when we were having this discussion, like just between the two of us, is that the games are like an office supply. If you're looking at it as, you need to pay for this like a real business, it's like, well, I went and bought a tool for my job, but my job is not, that is to facilitate or to help support that job, but the real job is me being the entertainer. It's not necessarily because I'm playing this specific game. And I would also argue that you can't point to any specific streamer and say, this streamer's huge, they played this game, and we lost out because everybody watched them play it instead of buying it. It's like, that's usually not the case.
There are definitely, I know, but there are definitely some times where streamers' influence into a game is poor, and it can make the game suffer for that.
But
Sea of
arguably,
Thieves
is
being
it
one of
their
them.
impression of the game that's poor, or is it the fact that the game is poor?
Yes.
No,
that's where you also
we
have to
will go
look.
with Sea of Thieves, for example. Really good game. A certain streamer started playing it, and it blew up, but in the wrong way, because it brought a lot of
Toxic negativity.
poor attitudes to the game and made the original community suffer, and then he left, which caused some of those people to stay, and it pulled some more of the audience out. So in the long run, maybe it wasn't so good for the streamer to
But I would
pick
say
up your
that those
game.
are kind of few and far between. You're going to have a lot
They are
more
definitely
cases
few and far between.
like Fall Guys and Among Us, where streamers pretty much blew this game up, and it sold more copies because people were watching it being streamed and go, oh, wow, that's really fun. Or you've got people like I'll mention Co by name, because people will come into his chat that have never been like, I'm kind of interested in this game, what do you think about it? And once he's, kind of given the rundown, which is always his opinion as he's playing it, they're like, I'm gonna go get that now. It sounds like fun. I want to go play it. Especially
In my
with a lot of
opinion, it's
single
like
player
an
games.
85. It's like an 85-15. Like 85% of the time, streamers are going to help the games and help the companies and communities. It's most of the time going to work out. 15% of the time, someone's gonna suffer for it. So I mean,
Yeah, but I don't think Sea of Thieves suffered. I think the players did because of the fact you had.
Did
the
you
toxic
look at a
gamers
lot of
on
the?
there.
Did you look at a lot of the community boards during that time, like
No, I was
Reddit
playing the
and their
game.
forums? Yeah, you may have been living in a bubble, but a lot of people were not, and they suffered a lot for it. There was a lot of reporting. There was a lot of complaining. Like people just straight up being asses and using lots of negative language, and there's no way to report people. Like you can't You can't be like, this guy is using extremely racist language and running around. What do you want us to do?
The only thing you could do would be
Just,
to find his Xbox gamer tag, because they're all Xbox
Yeah,
related, and report the gamer tag to Xbox.
You just have to leave the game. You just got to leave the game.
But
so
the Sea of Thieves does have a feature too where it doesn't show what people's actual names are, their gamer tags. It lets you hide it because streaming purposes. So even then, you know, you may not.
Yeah,
be...
but that's
Even
from
then,
your
you're
personal view too, though. It's
Is it?
not.
I
It's,
thought-
they can't.
Okay.
It's not like I can't change mine as a streamer. They still see who I am, but I can. Everybody else that's on my ship, and then anybody I'm playing against, I can change it that way in streamer mode.
But that's what I'm saying though. Is like if you're streaming it and you come across a bad actor, but you've changed the names to attempt to protect the people in your crew and anybody else that you come across, you can't go back and report them to Xbox later because you don't have their accurate gamer tag.
Right. Well, it's a quick change. Like you can literally flip it and just look at it, and then also go to your recents that you played against.
That problem definitely arose pretty strongly, and there was a really high call for some sort of moderation inside of the community just because of how
Toxic that
volatile
had
it
become.
got. Yeah. Which, I mean, I understand that the game is called Sea of Thieves, and do not get me wrong, I will never complain about playing in the game of Sea of Thieves, except when it turns toxic. Like, if someone chases you down, blows up your ship, kills you constantly over again, and then just leaves the game, that shit's just... That's not part of the fucking game. You're just trolling at that point. If you're going to sink me, take my shit and go turn it in. That's part of the game. I get that. You're just trying to get my stuff. All good. But Sea of Thieves, I'm fine. But if you're just literally chasing people around to sink them and then you leave to go and chase someone else, that's just trying to ruin their time. Like you're wasting their time.
That's part of the thing too. Is they allowed for the server hopping, the way that it was done, where at the same time they were doing that is when they created the issue where if you got dropped, you had 15 minutes that you could get back into the same game, so that way you didn't lose all your shit and all that type of stuff.
Right.
So it's like, why wasn't there a system set up to where if I'm server hopping, so I'm in a server and I decide to go join somebody else somewhere else, that there was a limitation on how much time in between that could happen. Because I'd been fine as a streamer, because sometimes we get onto an area that you might have 3 Reaper ships going around, and it's like, okay, I don't want to deal with this shit right now. So let me move to another one, and I need to move. But I think that maybe you limit on how many times they can do it. So like you say, all right, you server hopped again, make it to where you can only server hop twice or once or whatever. Without a certain amount of time passing in between, and I think that's where they kind of dropped the ball. But overall, I think it's, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal for us. Like we had people that would chase us down, but get good and sink their ass. They stop. You sink them, guess what? They stop. They move on. It's like we were being chased the other night, and guess what?
Not everyone.
Yeah.
No, not
Some
everyone.
people
We've been in.
will just keep coming.
Yeah, we've been in a game where we sunk the same person 4 times. Every single time they would just come back. Like while we're trying to do a fucking thing, they would just come back, and we'd have to get back on the ship and sink them again, and then we try to go back, and they come back again. It's like can't do shit with them constantly on our ass.
What that is somebody that's got road rage essentially, or sea rage in this case.
No shit.
It's just like, oh my god, these guys trolled me. You know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sink them. Well, get good, son. You know, but we've been there and done that too. But I don't know. It's just it. I have more problems with other stuff on it, but we kind of sidetracked the hell out of that.
Yeah. Back on topic. That is a small issue with some streamers being able to control the community of games. And I know that that's kind of a little stretch from being able to license games and whatnot, but that stems from the streamers' influences of the gaming communities. And most of the time it's good, so I don't feel like they're going to have to pay for licenses. If anything, that would be on Twitch to pony up the money to allow their streamers, because they're all employees by Twitch, to allow their streamers to stream all that content. Because I know Nintendo on YouTube was like, hell no. you cannot monetize our stuff because it's ours. So I just see there's some validity in this discussion. It's just he brought it up really, really poorly, and for the most part, we can all agree that it's not going to help very much anybody. The streamers having free reign is most of the time good, anyway.
Well, I mean,
I think part of the issue you ran into is just the real truth is streamers should be paying the developers. I think what he should have said was the real truth is streamers could end up paying the developers, because it is something to worry about. Devin Nash has talked about this before, about it being a possibility, because we are potentially making money off somebody else's content, and it is something that's up for a discussion. But I think, as Griff said, it's going to be very hard to implement. You've got way too many people on YouTube. What is it, like 2 years worth of video every day is uploaded onto YouTube?
Well, and YouTube's stance on it, because YouTube Gaming, Ryan Wyatt came out and made a statement about it, and he said, "We believe that publishers and creators have a wonderful symbiotic relationship that has allowed a thriving ecosystem to be created." I mean, basically, it's one of those things where a lot of people are like, you know, we could charge you for a license fee, but we also understand that we profit off of your audience going out and buying a game they might not have otherwise bought.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, most of the time it does work out in their favor.
And that's the same thing with free to play, because do you really think if there wasn't a Ninja that
Fortnite
Epic would have made $200 million a month for a year?
No. Hell no.
Well, I mean, same thing with League of Legends. They have esports stars, so of course you've got a free-to-play game that makes hand over fist cash every year for stuff like that, but it's free to play, and people, like, tons of people stream it.
And I will say that is the one that also influences a game like that, because Ninja not playing Fortnite, I guarantee if you got to watch the actual statistical numbers of players in Fortnite and watch what he plays, as he doesn't play Fortnite, the numbers go down, and then as he plays, they kind of sweep back up, and he stops and it goes elsewhere. Like, I guarantee streamers do control community play. Yes, they contribute. That's a much better word.
Yeah.
They contribute heavily to how a community plays into a game, because you got someone with like 200,000 followers, and they get a regular of 30,000 people.
Phasmophobia, I think that's how you say it, is blowing up. And had it not been for streamers playing that very indie game, we probably would not have heard of it. It might have popped up specifically on my Steam as a recommendation, but you guys probably wouldn't have had it wouldn't have had it on your radar. Oaks probably would have, because he plays Outlast, things like that.
It popped up on mine because it's a co-op multiplayer game.
It probably would have popped on all of ours because of Friday the 13th.
But how many of us would have looked over it and not given it a second thought if we hadn't already heard about it, heard some chatter about it on the Twitter sphere or on YouTube or through streamers? I mean,
I'm a bad example, because every time a game pops up on my Steam, I always scroll through and I click it just to check everything, because you never know when you're gonna get those sleeper hits, man. Like this Phasmophobia just was like, oh, I was like, wow, this looks really neat. I pull it up and I was like, oh wow, this looks really cool. And then I saw a streamer play it and I was like, oh hell yeah.
And it's cheap. It's $14 or whatever.
Well, I mean,
exactly.
That's the thing with mine. It had popped up on mine, and when I load up Steam, I usually, unless I'm actively gonna shop, which is not often, I don't usually look through it a whole lot. I'll look for a game if I've heard about it and it seems to have piqued my interest based on what I've heard. So I know it had popped up on mine, but I didn't know anything about it until Chicken was watching a streamer that was playing it, and he's like, I think you would like this, because I like those cheesy Ghost Hunter shows, and that is just basically an extension of that game. I can't wait to play it. So
yes. So yeah, again, streamers are most of the time really good for gaming communities. So I think companies make enough off of the publicity that they get.
If you want to force streamers to pay licensing, who do they pay it to? Because an indie game,
Twitch.
Do you pay it to Twitch? Does Twitch give money specifically to? Do they do a payout based on how many games are being streamed per studio? Because how do indie games fit into that? If it's like Phasmophobia, where it's one guy that made that game.
Well, to be fair, you could do it the same way Steam does, and Twitch has a bunch of categories. So when you stream under that category, the timer starts running, and the longer that timer goes is the amount of percentage. Basically, it would keep track of which I mean, Amazon's big enough to be able to create an algorithm for this. How much time this game was streamed and how many people watched this game,
What happens
and
if
then
a
do
dead
that
game comes
algorithm.
back?
Then you.
What
Then
if
what?
what if a streamer resurrects a dead game that doesn't really have like? What if the company that made it has fallen apart? It just so
Somebody
happens
owns
that
the rights to it, and if nobody owns the rights to it, then Twitch is like,
Money
hell
in the
yeah,
bank.
ain't got to pay shit to nobody.
I
Then
think there's
that
so
would
many
make it so
things
that
to
Amazon
then they
look
buy.
at.
Then they make sure they have the rights under Amazon Games,
Boom, there you go.
and then,
I was
then
about
they
to
start
say,
buying
Amazon
up all these
starts-
old game studios in order to be able to get the money off of it.
Defunct games.
Exactly.
But to be fair, you're not going to, even with that amount of time and everything else that's on there, your Twitch, YouTube, all of them, they'll just drop gaming. Twitch will have to find something new to do on that one because it's going to cost. It would cost them so much money.
Cut everything. Like you can't do a lot of the karaoke stuff that you used to be able to do because of the DMCA with the music. So you don't own that. They can't do a lot of the like random lifestyle streams because of how many products, like name brand products, are in those streams on accident sometimes. It's like, what do you do then? Well, you stream a game. Well, what if we get charged to stream games? Well, you don't. Buy Twitch.
Right.
Well, they would just because you can do Amazon Prime streaming and watch things with your chat and whatnot. If everybody has it, do the Amazon Prime watch parties and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah, but
They would-
the watch party's
they would-
stupid anyway because you're literally. It would be me doing this
Yeah, like why would you do that?
because all you see is the person watching a movie, and if you sign into your Prime, you're watching
you
the
can
movie
watch it
too.
too.
But to me, it's no point. I'd much rather just do it in my Discord if my Discord is up to server size.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
then-
some people like to talk while they watch movies and
Yeah, but you
whatnot.
can sit in a
and-
Discord chat and do that. You don't
Yeah.
have to
Yeah, but you
be
can't do it
watching
with-
my face.
You can't do that shit with 2,000 people.
No, that's why it's gonna be market size, but still.
Yeah, but that's the thing is Amazon would eventually just be like, all right, I'm gonna pay Microsoft $100,000 a year, and all of our streamers have access to all of Microsoft's games, and I guarantee that Twitch makes more than that off of Microsoft games a year, streaming wise, especially ad wise on all of their games. And then
Yeah, I don't think I don't see anybody having to pay licensing for it. I just don't. It
think
would
it'd
just
be
hurt
too hard
streaming
to-
systems in general.
It'd be too hard to
You're
implement
not gonna-
it. So,
Way too hard.
all right. Well, we got anything else? Because I'm going to go record Skyrim after we're done. Yay!
Woo!
It's very
No,
exciting
I
now
had
that
nothing.
my mods work. I mean, not that
We
Skyrim's
do
not
appreciate
good,
it.
though.
We do appreciate everybody that hangs out with each and every week on Infinite Respawn. As always, you can check us out on Twitter at InfiniteResPC. You can check me out personally at MDB Oaktree. Check out Griff.
At Griff Slanum.
Check out Chicken.
Elite Chicken through a 3.
Check out Baka.
And vodka pickle.
Also, make sure that you go to Griff's YouTube channel where she posted for the first time this week. Woo!
Yeah.
In a very long time. So make sure you go onto there as she's playing through Skyrim. Also, make sure you go to twitch.tv/Elite Chicken 313. Hit the follow button because when he goes live next month, make sure you have the
probably
little
not be
ding.
next week, but it'll, because next week's a pretty big week for everybody. It might be the week afterwards, and we're either gonna have some really excited streams or some
Let's
normal
get through this
streams.
together streams.
Yeah, yeah, it really
Depends.
depends.
That'll work. Also, make sure you go to Twitch as well and you check me out at MDB Oaktree there, where I stream every day of the week except Wednesdays. So you should be able to find me and hit that follow button on there as well. Raven Respawn, I'm Oaktree.
I'm Griff.
I'm Chicken.
Vodka.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Please hang up and try again.